Here in the third block of the Cultural Hall, I'm joined by my friend, my colleague, some would say,
Your contemporary, Richie.
contemporary. Technically, I came up before you, so we're of different generations. If I'm a fifth year, you're a third year. It's Kurt Francom from Leading Saints. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Richie. Just
No,
grateful for the invitation.
You don't like that? You don't like that?
Like what?
The if I'm a fifth year, you're a third year, because we didn't start at the same time.
What are you even talking about?
I mean, as far as you and I, like, we both do content creation.
Yeah,
like to say.
Oh yeah, you're a dinosaur in this industry.
It's more than a podcast. We have blogs, and you can subscribe to the weekly email where Kurt puts together a few thoughts, and then you can be able to respond to them. In fact, it's one of the most popular features of Leading Saints. Don't think I don't listen. I listen.
Hey man, I appreciate it. Your support is well appreciated.
Sure, but I was a good 5 years before you, pal.
Yep. You were there.
Yep,
you were the pioneers of the industry, Richie.
In fact, I was at, people don't know this, but Kurt Francom, before he started what was then Leading LDS, he gathered like a multi-level marketing meeting at Salt Lake Community College.
It's called marketing, Richie.
Yeah, no, it was multi-level marketing where
hey, just bring your 5 friends. That's all I asked.
He asked us to bring friends, and he put us in a room with mediocre snacks and said,
"Oh, come on.
I'm casting a vision. Who can get on board, and subsequently who can get in the downline?" That model didn't work. Then Leading LDS was born, and then when the prophet said, "Hey, we should not call it LDS," it became Leading Saints. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Thankful for the introduction. Yeah, that was great. You thought I was crazy at the time, but little did you know how groundbreaking it all was.
I have since been eclipsed. People like leadership a whole lot more than they like snark. So,
right? Who would have thought?
Yeah, well, I would have. If I would have thought for 2 seconds, I would have thought that. But nice. That's your jam. If you like anything leadership oriented, as far as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is, I would push you towards leading Saints. Except, you know, when Kurt does the same interview that I do, or with the same person, I just say, just stay here.
Hey, remember that time we both interviewed and released an interview with Whitney Johnson, but they were completely two different people?
Yes. Yeah.
That was great. That was a good time.
I was like, wait a minute. It's two different Whitney Johnsons. Who was your Whitney Johnson? I can't even remember.
Whitney Johnson, she's an author back east in Virginia, Latter-day Saint, writes a lot of like business leadership books. So,
okay. Yeah. And my Whitney Johnson is in the sports department at Brigham Young University.
Yes.
Talking about diversity, inclusion, etc. So. Yeah. But same name, and so help me, I was very frustrated. And since we don't get a chance to talk it often enough, and since it's recorded so I can make you react in real time, and you'll know that it won't be edited. 2 more things, as a matter of fact. One, you also recently-ish acquired This Week in Mormons. Now, I think that's great. Jeff did a great job. You said, hey, let's expand on this. There are a couple of your hosts that you have that like to constantly tout that it is the original and that it is the longest running, and I would contend that that's not the case anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So change of ownership is different.
The name is the same, but yes. You know, when Fred Meyer turns into, or you know, when you had Smith's turn to Kroger or whatever. You know,
then that resets the clock. Is that what you're saying?
Albertsons into Fresh Living. I feel like that's Fresh Market. Is that what it is? Fresh Living is a TV show. Fresh Market is the store. I feel like there's a little bit of, you know, we learn about how there's no such thing as righteous pride, and I think it's just a little bit of pride on the behalf of these people saying, "Oh yeah, part of the longest running," and they weren't there.
Right. Well, hey, what what did I buy exactly then if I don't get the longest running brand?
Well, and to that point, I'd say, yeah, why? Why did you buy it? Just
mainly out of spite for you.
Well, sure.
Just so I could be your direct competitor in the industry. And
thank you. It keeps me better. It keeps me on my toes.
We're coming for you, Richie. We're
constantly. I know. Yeah. So check that out. It's a completely different product that does a lot of the same things, air quotes, But
we do quite a bit different. You want to know what's different, Richie?
Tell me what's different.
We have exclusive content.
Oh, on Patreon, sure.
That's right.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yep, and never before heard in the public sphere content. Yep. We'll put some there, and become a Patron, and you'll get additional content.
Okay.
We have international hosts, Rich.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm biting my tongue. We've got international hosts. Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
Yep.
And the list goes on. There's not time right now to go through the whole list.
Well, and to that point, the international host is an interesting concept. I'll go that way with you. That is an interesting concept.
Nice. I appreciate you teasing that.
Well, I just bite my tongue on the rest of it. The last thing is, as you know, because I know you listen to this here at the Cultural Hall as well.
Of course.
You probably have heard in some recent-ish episodes where we've talked about life-changing things. And I want to know something that's changed your life recently. Now, it doesn't have to be these big monumentous, I had to shift this paradigm. You know, I was on a subway and I found out that person's mother. It's nothing like that. It can be that. But it can also be as simple as like, I learned that you should vacuum your bathroom before you clean it. And then you get all the hair up and then it doesn't take as long. Like that's a life-changing thing. Is there anything life-changing that you have purchased, encountered, discovered, realized recently?
Life-changing. Let me think. I would say, do you own a pair of sleep headphones, Richie?
A pair of sleep? Oh, no. But I love where this is headed. I don't even know what those are.
For like less than $20 on Amazon, you can get this. It's almost like a headband type of thing, and has just your really basic Bluetooth headphones, but they're in this headband that when you sleep on it, you can't feel the headphones. So you put that on your head, connect it to your phone, turn on a little bit of ocean waves maybe, or just white noise, whatever your flavor is, and that will rock you to sleep. And you can have it go all night if you want, or you can have it turn off if you need. But yeah, it has increased my quality of sleep significantly. So even you sometimes, Richie, will speak me to sleep. Interesting. As I listen to the Cultural Hall.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, and they're called sleep headphones. Is it?
Yeah. If you go to Amazon, just look up sleep headphones. They'll come right up.
Listen, we'll put our affiliate link in our show notes, and then we can make money off of.
There you go.
Suggestion. I love that idea. I have this particular like meditation track that whenever I have an event coming up, I take 15 minutes. I put the one pillow over my eyelids, and then the other one supporting the neck, and I listen for 15 minutes. And most of the time I don't fall asleep, but I sure do relax.
Yeah. Check it out.
That's not why you're here. You're here.
Is that not?
No.
Oh no. What else am I supposed to say on here?
Oh shoot. Was there other things? The Preach My Gospel update has occurred, and I said, hey, Kurt, there's a lot here. I'd prefer not to read it. I'd prefer you to just tell me what we learned that's different with all this. So without further ado, let us talk about the Preach My Gospel update.
Yes. So this is actually how they frame it is the second edition, Richie. So maybe there'll be future editions, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and this is good. I mean, all church content should be evolving in some way, right?
Well, it is living, Kurt.
It is living and breathing, right?
Preach My Gospel.
Preach My Gospel. That's right. So, so on June 22nd, actually my birthday, the church gave me the new second edition of Preach My Gospel. So I'm really honored that they do this. They announced it at, I don't know if you're aware of this, every June, at the end of June, they have what's called a mission. They always change the name, the Mission Leader Seminar. Basically, all the new mission presidents go to Provo and gather with the Quorum of the 12 and get their marching orders. They also broadcast it to all the currently serving mission presidents. And they talked missionary work for a few days. And one of those announcements was this new edition, the second edition of Preach My Gospel. And it comes with a new headline, which is a guide to, oh my goodness, I don't have this in front of me. A guide to, here it is, a guide to sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. So,
what did it used to say?
It used to say a guide to missionary service.
Okay.
So one approach to this new second edition is that it is targeted more not just for missionaries, though there's a lot of applicable content for missionaries, but it's targeted to the general membership of the church. And so we can all benefit from it.
So is this do you feel like this is maybe a merging of teaching No Greater Call and Preach My Gospel? Do you think that that would be an accurate statement?
I would say no. I
Okay.
believe, and this is, I always don't know what's sort of like the old stuff and the new stuff, because they keep all the old stuff in the gospel library. So you can actually see the first edition of Preach My Gospel in the library.
That seems
And
confusing.
right. And but I mean, it's clearly marked, so you should be able to follow.
I
But,
want to learn old ways of doing this.
right.
It's for the
So
hipsters of missionary work.
that's right. So I think there's still a teaching section in Preach My Gospel that would have that teaching No Greater Call. And this is just sharing the gospel, not necessarily teaching the gospel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So from the first page, already a greater focus on Jesus Christ. I'm on board. What else?
And if you go through, I mean, I looked sort of comparing, the old chapters with the new chapters, and, they resemble each other for the most part, and similar content, whatnot. They've updated it. Let's see. It's as a great article, LDS Living said, the introduction is more user-friendly for members and for preparing to serve missions. So there are certain chapters in this new edition that are more member-specific rather than missionary-specific. There's an importance of making covenants with God, which is, just emphasizing that focus, which I think in the administration of President Nelson, that has become, the covenant path has been emphasized more, I believe. And
how does it accomplish that? How does it make the importance of making covenants with God a bigger focus? Is it just like, no, really, it's really important? No, we mean it a lot. Like how?
Right.
Any idea on how they are able to shift that from because I'm sure it was in there before. I'm sure we're talking covenants before, but now it's like, no, really.
Well, I think that, for example, there's a chapter called Helping People Make and Keep, is that the chapter? Make and Keep Commitments. And then there's just when they talk about baptism, I think they do so in the context of it being, this is a beginning of the covenant path rather than just, this is your entry here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I support this.
Yes.
At any time, is there a portion where we say most people believe in a supreme being, even though we may call him by different names?
Oh man,
we believe.
How far can you go, Richie? Keep going. Keep going. I mean, what do you got?
If I had 30 seconds,
I'm still here.
Review,
I'm just changing my battery.
If I had 30 seconds to review, I 1,000% could probably do the entire first discussion.
Nice. You know what we used to memorize is the Lamb of God. I've watched it in Spanish.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All in this Hebrew. I don't know if it was actual Hebrew. I assume it was, but
sure.
Subtitled in some parts. So
we always used to. This is terrible too, but I know you're a horrible person, so I can say this. But whenever someone would say something to us, not every time, but a lot of times, because here was the thing that was cool when you were a missionary. When I was a missionary, is whoever had the longest distance from the control unit of your home phone. So you had a wireless home phone, that was the bragging piece in our mission, because you had to buy and take your own phone to each location. They didn't have a phone there. That was a responsibility.
So every time you were transferred, you'd pack up your phone?
Yeah.
Your cordless phone?
Yeah, one companion. And so the big, oh man, you got a 2.3 gigahertz that can go 100 yards from your house. That was the big thing within our mission. That was oh wow, he was able to get 200 yards. Are you kidding me? He can take a call 200. There was that. And anytime anyone would say something to you, if they'd come up and be mad at you, or they'd come up and wonder where you were or whatever. So do this and I'll show you what we did. Go ahead. Role play.
What am I doing?
Just ask me where or tell me, hey, you shouldn't have been doing that thing that you were doing. Go ahead.
Hey, Elder Stedman, you're out of line, my friend. You should really check your obedience. You shouldn't be doing that.
Sayest thou this thyself, or did others tell it thee? We would do that all the time.
Oh my goodness. And I don't know if you it's always funny when you hear from missionaries and they explain hey, we had this thing in our mission where when elders would go home, we'd say they died. And then, if your trainer would be your dad and you're like, Yeah, every mission in the world from the beginning of time has done that. That's not like something cute your mission did. We all did it, right?
We've gone off on a tangent. Now I'm curious.
Yeah.
If you took off your name tag and put it in your pocket, not that you ever would, but other elders in your mission, I'm sure, what did you call that?
Taking off your name tag
so you took off
just
your name
hiding
tag.
it?
Yeah, you just sort of put it in your pocket so no one could see it, or, you were, for whatever reason, you did not want to have your name tag on to identify you.
Removing your name from the records, Richie? I don't know.
Wow. Wow. We used to call it Deep Six. Deep Six. Deep Six your name tag, guys.
Deep Six.
We didn't do it very often, but there were a few times.
Yeah.
It was a better choice that we decided to take that off. All right, back to the gospel. Come on.
Back to this. Yeah, so there's a few sections as far as using technology wisely and righteously.
Like what? Is that when I saw the headline, I felt like that's like, well, missionaries now total access for the most part to the internet. Is this the warning about pornography and other sites that we should get into, or is it more than that?
No, absolutely. So there is specific mention of pornography, and making sure if that was a problem before your mission, to make sure that you keep it in check. It says the manual shares advice for those who may have struggled with pornography before their call and who may be tempted to fall back into previous patterns. I've actually talked with currently serving mission presidents, and they said this is a huge concern.
I'm sure it is.
Pornography, that it needs to be addressed, continue to be addressed, and it doesn't just go away when you put on that name tag.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, fascinating as far as that goes too, because I mean, you think about 20 years ago, right? Dawn of the internet age, I suppose. And you think about, okay, well, you're home and you have access it within your home, but you're not able to view it on the mission, right? Because you're at members' houses or at a church where the access would obviously be blocked or whatever. Made that a lot easier. Now it's like, hey, and it's life sort of in general, but it's, hey, here is a device where now you have to constantly make the choice to not consume this particular thing, and to be able to, not only mention it, but say, here are some guidelines, here's some helps, here's some things as you walk that path and do the work. I think that's incredible. Yeah,
it needs to be said. So it's in the new 2nd edition for sure. And then they've just supercharged this edition with additional, quotes from general authorities, with more scripture references, things like that, making sure that those doctrinally sound references are prominent. So
let me ask you, there's a section in it that discusses how to extend an invitation to be baptized. And I would imagine that was probably there prior. What is new or changed or developed or walked out that wasn't there in the, as you said, 1st edition of Preach My Gospel?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Richie. So the 1st edition, this is how it was worded. Will you follow the example of Jesus Christ by being baptized by someone holding the priesthood authority of God? We will be holding a baptismal service on insert date.
Yep.
Will you prepare yourself to be baptized on that date? The new 2nd edition says, will you follow the example of Jesus Christ by being baptized by someone who has been ordained to perform this ordinance? We will help you prepare for baptism. We believe you can be ready on insert date. Will you prepare to be baptized on that date? So a subtle shift, but nonetheless, there it is. So
you I assume extended invitations to be baptized. Yeah,
I did. Yes.
How went from the first, when you were first serving, to when you were at the end? How did that shift for you? So I'll walk it out. I remember my first invitation to be baptized serving in Euclid, Ohio. It's east side of Cleveland. And I can distinctly remember I said something, if not exactly, but adjacent to, so if you wouldn't mind, or like, I
was wondering if you wouldn't.
You don't have to. You do. So to be clear, like, you do have to. You don't have to. Like, I'm not going to take your choice, but like, if you want to, be with God, like, you have to, but like, you don't have to now. So if you wanted to, we're going to be, and I'm sure it went on like that for several minutes. And then the person was like, oh, he asked me a question somewhere in there. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Maybe. I mean, I guess, right?
Yeah. Were you one that was fearful of that, or was it just like, Spirit will testify, let's move along?
Yeah, no, it was, you have the words in your mind, and I remember early on sort of knowing that there's a specific way to phrase it with the will you. And yeah, it was so easy to get tripped up over those words because you're like, here I go, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna change your life with this invitation.
Yeah, don't say no, please. And then by the end, I think, by the end of my mission is when the first edition of Preach My Gospel was released, where we could, obviously the phrasing was still important, but it was, I think with the discussions, it wasn't a discussion 2 that you would typically extend the invitation to baptism.
1, if you were prompted, but 2, certainly,
right,
was the biggie.
Right. If you're a baller and you want to go for discussion 1 and be like, watch this, greenie.
If you needed the numbers to represent invitations, because we don't care about numbers, we just track them.
No, we don't.
Yeah. No. Yep.
Couldn't care less, Richie, numbers. No. But hey, I'm going to call you every night just to get those numbers.
No, but we don't care. To be clear, we don't care. But also, what were the numbers?
Hypothetically speaking, if there were numbers.
If there were, what would they be? And then let's see. And then we just sort of get to the references, which you sort of alluded to, but there's a little bit more meat to that.
Oh, is there?
Isn't there?
I mean, what did you find? I didn't. I mean, they're just more.
Because there's it's not only scriptures and like rooted in the doctrine that we say, hey, here's a scripture for this and there's this. It's also words of living prophets and apostles.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And so I think that's significant. And then also it is far more, I thought, like, hey, let the Spirit guide, let the Spirit direct, the Spirit will confirm this to you. And I think for a while it was not intentionally, but I think for a while it was a little bit of like, you'll know and then you do. And I think there's much more of an emphasis on like, let the Spirit guide you as you do this, and the Spirit will be with you and continue to be with you and can be a partner, a friend, a guide, an advocate to be able to walk along the path with you. Because I think so many people find the church, are taught the gospel, baptized, and then we kind of do this, the missionaries, move away, get transferred away, their best friend that was in the ward, whatever. And then what? And I think that to me was probably the overarching thing that this second edition of Preach My Gospel taught me, is that it's like, teach them to follow, live, and learn by the Spirit. And if you can secure that, man, you got it.
Yeah. Rather than just go through the motions of the lessons and get to the baptismal day, right? So, yeah. So, great news, second edition. And the printed versions will be out most likely by the end of the year. You'll see them pop up in your favorite church bookstore. And so you can grab a copy then. But until then, we have our Gospel Library app that has all the updates there. Start marking, tagging, highlighting.
Are you a person who likes to get the print copy and make the written notes?
No, I'll probably get one just to have a visual reference. I'm all team Gospel Library. So
okay.
Love my tags and my notes in there. So it's good stuff.
With the first edition, I got myself the paper copy and did the notes in the side. Ooh. I like it. It helps me to focus. So I appreciate that aspect of it. Curtis Francom from Leading Saints, used to be Leading LDS, and then before that was a multi-level marketing scheme. I hope that this episode... Oh, no, I remember the one more thing I was going to say.
Okay, let's hear it.
Does the second edition come with cassette tapes that allow us opportunities to workshop? Please bless.
Actually, they're MP3 downloadables that you can also get on CD. But
perfect. Laserdisc.
But if there was a group, out there that like the Culture Hall that could create those in maybe more modern day, contexts, that would be worth offering to an audience. So.
For people who don't know, for about 25 years, when it was the missionary guide, the old purple dinosaur is what we called it in our mission, came with 3 cassette tapes which elders in my mission inevitably figured out how to record over and then put, some other something on it. And a cassette tape, kid, ask your parents. But it would be examples. And I think I've mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning again. It's like the Ortega family has stepped into church and you'd like to extend them an invitation to be baptized. Do you, A, help them to feel the Spirit and recognize the commitment that they would be making by entering the waters of baptism? B, shame them into recognizing all of the sins of the world that they have felt upon their shoulders and those that have gone before them? Or C, not even talk to them, ignore them, and pretend that they're not even there? And then you're supposed to be doing this in the wee hours of the morning with your mission companion and be like,
in a groggy state.
Yeah. Right? Okay. So which is it? Is it A, B, or C?
Yeah. Yeah. And they'd even like have dramatizations, right? Of conversations on there.
Yes. Yeah. And you could press play and listen to how the proper elder took care of it.
I wonder, are those on YouTube somewhere? Has anybody captured those recordings?
They've got to be. They've got to be.
I did notice that on Amazon, you can get a used missionary guide for about $20, paperback. They'll mail it to you. So
perfect. I've still got mine.
Oh, you do? I have no idea where mine went. There's also, in your mission, they use the letters of the subtitle because there's about 23, 24 letters or something. And so those, you would cross them out with each month. You'd get there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember that part.
Okay, well, that was
that part. No. But one last thing, because we've meandered all over everything today, as is often when Kurt and I get together. Do you have a bunch of stuff still from your mission?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, do you have the inability to get rid of it like I do?
Oh yeah, I have my missionary bag with with my discussions in them.
Yes.
My little I had a little fabric envelope that I'd keep like visual aids in and things. Yeah. Oh yeah, those are going to my great grandkids, and they better not throw them away.
Yeah, so. Here is the thing about it. It's funny how there's some stuff that's sort of stigmatized about that for me. Like I have, and I didn't recognize this about myself till I served my mission. I have Doc Martens and the heel because of how I walk. Like it is a good solid 45-degree angle on the back of that heel on both heels. I don't wear them. I'll never wear those shoes in the bin. I've got my missionary bag that the strap is broken and the inside is worn out because I wore it literally every day.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of it. The missionary discussions, which we don't use anymore.
The white handbook, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it all.
But my white handbook, precious. Because
okay.
And I can't remember, I wish I could remember. I think it was like Ashley Simpson or Britney Spears or someone. I don't think it was
the heartthrob of the time,
but it was someone like that. So we were out tracting and we came upon a Buca de Beppo in some west side of Cleveland town, and they had this ginormous tour bus for whoever this was, right? I actually should look this up. I'm sure it's someone that we actually know because it was a big deal. And my companion and I, we waited in line to get a photo.
You had nothing better to do, Richie.
Yeah. Well, listen, we were using the opportunity to talk to people.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't have to be the way that it looks for everyone else.
Okay, all right. Hey, no judgment here.
To be able to preach my gospel second edition. So we waited in line. We get the picture with her, and then I had her sign the page with the rule about the opposite sex. So across the rule of the opposite sex in silver Sharpie, it's whomever this person is.
All right, we need a picture of that.
Yeah,
to go along with this episode.
I found the picture of her, but I couldn't tell who it was. But I do have the signature as well. So
it might be Taylor Swift for all we know.
It is not Taylor Swift.
Yeah, she was probably too young at that point. Donnie and Marie or something.
Yeah.
Marie Osmond.
Enough for it to be Donnie and Marie. Thanks. Yeah. You were literally
Dolly Parton. It was probably Dolly Parton.
We're done. I hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body.
And if you don't feel well this week and can't listen, that you'll listen next week.
And then when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, we'll be saving a seat for you
on the back row
of the cultural hall.